Senate passes bill to regulate ranches in Nigeria.
To confine them to one area is not so, it will not solve the problem. So what I said, we must approach this matter with good faith.
House of Representatives commends federal government and organized labor for resuming negotiations on national minimum wage. ECOWAS reveals standby force operational guidelines in line with contemporary challenges. Good evening and thanks for joining us on the news desk at 6 on NTA News 24, live from Abuja. I am Vivian Ezadifi. President Bola Tinubu has congratulated Claudia Sheinbaum on her historic election as the first female president of Mexico since its independence in 1821. The president, in a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Adjurain Galale, states that the election of President-elect Sheinbaum ascends the voices of women in government, shatters political glass ceiling, and sends a vibrating message across the world that women must not only be participants but principal architects in shaping and implementing decisions affecting the lives of many. Senate has passed for second reading the National Animal Husbandry and Ranches Commission Bill, which seeks regulation, management, preservation and control of ranches in Nigeria. The bill, sponsored by Senator Titus Zam, elicited debate as lawmakers expressed diverse opinion on the proposed legislation.
The bill also proposes that ranches be established in pastoralist state of origin without forcing it upon other states or communities that do not have pastoralists as citizens.
Understand that this is not in consonance with our constitution. Your bill is good, I like this bill, but this aspect should be removed.
What happened is that some people are using these headers and all that to destabilize this country.
To confine them to one area is not so, it will not solve the problem. So what I said, we must approach this matter with good faith.
This bill is very important and germane to our national situation now. I think that even those who are complaining about certain sections of the lead debate concede that they are not opposed to the bill.
When we are looking at clause by clause consideration, we will know whether there is any divisive thing or anything that is contrary to the Nigerian constitution that is embedded therein, and then of course that will be deleted. We would like to have a bill that will be sent for assent that is Nigerian in nature, that is holistic, that makes it possible for all to be carried along. I would not want anything that would divide the country.
The bill has been referred to relevant standing committees for further legislative action, as they will be expected to engage other stakeholders on the pros and cons of the bill. Nigeria is ranked among the countries with lowest consumption of milk per person. Per capita consumption of milk in Nigeria was put at 8.7 liters annually against the World Health Organization of 210 liters per person yearly. The good news now is that the federal government is poised to producing a policy that will enhance milk production and make it affordable for Nigerians. Musa Babaliu reports.
Scientifically and traditionally, it is agreed that breast milk is the only source of food, as it contains just the right amount of nutrients needed by a child. Research confirms that most children in Nigeria don't have access to milk after they are weaned at age 2. In the area of general consumption of milk, Nigerians are said to be consuming an average of 1.6 billion liters of milk and its products annually, and almost 80% of the milk and dairy products are imported.
They are also going to support availability of the milk and milk product or dairy product as it is, so that the nutritional status of our country can begin to improve also. Because when things are available, the tendency is for it to be available at an affordable rate. Scarcity brings a higher price.
The national policy on dairy that was unveiled by the representative of the Vice President Kashim Shettima was to address all the obstacles associated with livestock and milk production in the country.
The national dairy policy, which we are unveiling today, is designed to serve as a roadmap for energizing the dairy industry over the coming years. Its implementation will ensure improved dairy farming practices, increased investment in dairy processing and preservation, evidence-based policy implementation, enhanced collaboration, private, public sector, and also civil society organizations, ease of doing business within the dairy industry.
And there's a provision that every 5 years, and we hope the parameters and the indices that will indicate the achievement of all that has been set out will be diligently pursued.
The policy will create an enabling environment for smallholder farmers to invest and upskill production and also address farmers' herders' conflict. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The House of Representatives has commended the federal government and organized labor for resuming negotiation towards arriving at an implementable minimum wage for Nigerian workers. Adopting a motion by Minority Whip Ali Issa, the House also commended organized labor for their commitment towards negotiating a minimum wage for workers. Lawmakers, however, condemned the shutting down of the national grid and essential services while the strike lasted, saying such extreme actions inflicted more losses on the masses.
It's normal and it's also legal for any union to go into strike to show their protest, but in most cases there are essential services that also need to be given a very serious considerations.
Sometimes when we embark on some of these actions, we should not overstep boundaries. The area of switching off power in the entire country as a way of protest should be condemned.
This is our law: supply of electricity, power, water, or fuel. Trade Dispute Act is very clear with regards to the areas they cannot extend their strike into. Number 3, broadcasting and communication services. You can't wake up and say the radios will not work, television shut down. People cannot know what is happening. It's like anarchy.
I'm sure a lot of people died in the past few days of shutting down the national grid. We have to criminalize that.
But when they are conducting their legitimate functions of negotiating with government on behalf of workers, they should be mindful of the fact that they should be guided by the laws of the land.
Lawmakers also called for speedy amendments of the National Minimum Wage Act in line with present-day realities. The story of Nigerians' 25 years of unbroken democracy cannot be complete without political parties, but analysts want more inclusivity and a stronger structure to strengthen political development in the country. This formed part of discussions as guest X-ray 25 years of Nigerians' unbroken democracy. Daniel Aderiye brings us more.
Because what we have in this country is as a result that why multi-party democracy has failed and leadership is breaking down to a way that they do not have so much authority is because when we go for elections, those in government come with money. The parties, on the other hand, that are not in government don't have money to spend. So this affects our democratic development and projection. So we must have the people to know that what is on the ballot is pipe-borne water. What is on the we don't talk pipe-borne water, we talk borehole in Nigeria now, because I grew up in Lagos. When we talk about pipe-borne water, it's good road, electricity, and productivity. That is what is on the ballot. The citizen must take cognizance of that and look at the best capable, competent hands that will man our country and vote for them.
A quarter of a century later, Nigeria's democracy remains uninterrupted. But despite this, guests in Good Morning Nigeria believe that for democracy to remain sustained, there must be a paradigm shift from money-driven politics to service-oriented politics.
People are not looking at political parties as something that belongs to the general public. They are looking at political parties as parties that belong to only the politicians. And if you look at it from that angle, then once a political party wins an election, people only rush to it that they want to participate in government. The people are not monitoring what really brought them about. What did they tell the people? How far have they gone in delivering on what they promised?
When you become a governor or when you are the president, you are automatically the leader of that political party. That's not a constitutional definition. That's a political ascription that Nigerians chose to give during this republic.
Some of the guests noted that political parties, which are the foundation upon which political stability is built, must find more decorum and ways to resolve internal party disputes and strengthen party structures.
In the last election, the entry of the Labour Party and scoring like 6 million votes, was largely because of the improvement in the quality of elections. And going further, you see all these parties, if they don't improve their internal processes and systems for producing for making internal democracy stronger, removing crises and anti-party activities and so on and so on, they are going to suffer at the general elections.
The constitution of the party, the constitution of the country, everything is being interpreted by an arm of government, that is the judiciary. We also continue to pray and wish for an independent and strong judiciary, so that even when anybody is misbehaving and just wake up at the wrong side of the bed and wanted to start claiming what doesn't belong, the judiciary can quickly bring him to book. Without being influenced by anybody, without being influenced by anything, and so that the other person that wants to do it next time will know that this is also possible, because the judiciary will come in and stop it.
The guests further noted that for democracy to remain endemic, party leadership must be constitutionally defined and adhered to. In Abuja, Daniel Adiriye, NTA News.
You are still watching the news. You are still watching the news desk at 6 on NTA News 24. More reports after this time out. Stay with us.
What is fake news? A false information with no verifiable source presented as true story on media platforms with the sole intention of causing injuries, chaos, and disaffection between persons, groups, or countries. Fake news facilitates extremism. Fake news creates panic and distrust. Fake news breeds hatred. Fake news kills. Don't joke with it. Don't be in a rush. Verify your sources and facts. It is better late than fake. This message is brought to you by NTA News24.
Welcome back. The Nigerian Army has once again an experiences. Commandant Army War College, Nigeria Major General Ishaya Maina says the event provides an avenue to dissect strategic and tactical activities for better comprehension of battlefield event outcomes.
Over 50 years ago, in order to draw lessons for our contemporary operations today. With this, I cannot tell you how important and critical it is for you to pay great attention to what you do today. Because always remember that our stories will be told when the dust settles.
I believe that we may not witness this kind of situation again in Nigeria, and in an unlikely event that it happens, it's going to happen differently. But there are many lessons for officers in command positions and officers in combat roles to learn from the Nigerian Civil War.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, in a strategic meeting held in Abuja, has reviewed and validated the ECOWAS standby force operational guidelines in order to be in tune with current realities of security challenges cutting across terrorism, proliferation of small and light weapons by non-state actors, as well as trans-border crimes that trouble the peace and existence of the sub-region. The three-day high-level think tank meeting, which brought delegates from member states with the support of the European Union, reviewed the policy documents that will guide the operation of the ECOWAS standby force to be able to respond to the new dimensions of security concerns of the region. The existing documents, speakers and stakeholders say, used to be for peacekeeping operations and now requires an improvement to meet the demand of the moment.
Security threat. Today is the reality of our region, and then the deployment of ESF into any theater to take into consideration these dynamics.
This is to enable us to have, at any time when we are deploying for peace support operations, member states as well as troop contributing countries will fully be guided. There are several sections, in the document. Experts as well as member states that are here will be able to look at, from section 1 up until the end of the sections. We have about 17 sections.
The meeting by delegates, which is the final phase of the validation meeting, is expected to come up with a validated document as the new ECOWAS operational framework document that will give the standby force the military impetus to respond and protect the region from the enemies of the states, as existing instruments do not suffice. Nigeria is pushing for the establishment of an ECOWAS agency for disability affairs to fast-track implementation of programs targeted at the physically challenged people in the sub-region. The country canvassed this position at the maiden meeting of ministers in charge of disability inclusion in Abuja. Kelvin Ebonaye reports.
Nigeria ratified the UN Convention on Disabilities in 2007. It followed it through with the creation of a National Commission for Persons with Disabilities to cater for the needs of over 35 million physically challenged persons in the country. With this pace-setting position, the Nigerian model is now being replicated in ECOWAS member states. But an agency at the regional level will give impetus to ECOWAS quest to create a more inclusive sub-region, and this meeting to validate an action plan is in pursuit of that objective.
Disability inclusion remains a critical issue in the region, with millions of individuals experiencing barriers to empowerment initiatives and social protection, among others. Permit me to use this occasion to advocate for people with disabilities to be gainfully employed within the ECOWAS Commission as part of the Commission's effort to prioritize.
We are here in order to show them how Nigerians are committed in disability inclusive. And after this regional meeting, we are going to implement this strategy. Mr. President has mandated my office to make sure that I implement this regional action plan.
ECOWAS recently commenced the implementation of a pilot disability agenda in 2 member states. With an action plan emanating from this meeting, the ECOWAS Commission is expected to roll out the agenda in the remaining countries by the end of this year. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
The Sultan of Sokoto and President General Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Mohammed Saad Abubakar, says Thursday, 6th of June 2024 is the first day for Muslims to look for the new moon of Dhul Hijjah 1445 after Hijrah. A statement signed by Professor Sambo Wali Junaidu, Chairman Advisory Committee of Religious Affairs, Sultanate Council Sokoto, says Thursday is the 29th of Dhul Hijjah 1445 after Hijrah. The statement says the sighting of the new moon should be reported to the nearest district of village head for onward communication to the Sultan. Pilgrims from Sokoto and Zamfara states have continued to appreciate the collaborative efforts between Sokoto State Government and Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria in the provision of the state-of-the-art modern aviation equipment that makes the screening process seamless at the Aliu Wamako Hajj Terminal of the Sultan Abubakar International Airport, Sokoto. Bashir Ibrahim Nababa was at the arrival and departure sections of the ultra-modern terminal and now report.
The construction of the Hajj terminal commenced in 2016. It is, however, abandoned after reaching an appreciable stage of completion, leaving no choice to authorities and pilgrims but to operate at the old terminal. Well, this is now history thanks to the timely intervention of Sokoto State Government that puts in place the ultra-modern edifice identified as the best in the country by the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Kiamo, during its inauguration recently. Corroborating his words are these pilgrims while sharing their experiences before their departure to Saudi Arabia for this Hajj exercise.
Alhamdulillah, everything is going on. The fan and the Sokoto State are doing well. All the screening, the equipment are fine. Alhamdulillah, all their facilities are okay.
So far, the airlift of pilgrims from Sokoto and Zamfara states to the Holy Land is going on smoothly at the airport. NTA News gathered that this feat would not have been possible without reaching out to Sokoto State Government and other relevant stakeholders initiated by the fan leadership.
By 2022, it was abandoned at 90% completion. So sad. Whole of this government relying on the new hope agenda of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which the Honorable Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Barrister Festus Kiamo, SAN, riding on the infrastructure development of the aviation industry, which was being driven by the Managing Director of FAR, Mrs. Olubuku, who are mandated as managers to seek, partner, and collaborate with state government, where infrastructure, various can be developed.
Formerly, if you are aware, the former Hajj terminal was in the United States. But that we feel it is, the governor said it is very good for our pilgrims to start this Hajj here. And by pilgrims on board, it comes to reality. You can now see it's being used by Sokoto and Zamfara State pilgrims. As you can see, Zamfara pilgrims are already on their way to Saudi Arabia using this new terminal.
Aside the scope at which the Hajj terminal was built, the single search area for all the security agencies makes the 2024 Hajj operation unique at the airport. From Sokoto, Bashir Ibrahim Nababa, NTA News.
To ensure effective monitoring and evaluation of approved outstanding death benefits, allowance and insurance for Nigerian Police Force, the National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission has commenced training of an interagency committee for the exercise. Joseph Hussein has details.
In 2021, the Federal Executive Council approved implementation of allowances and payment of outstanding death benefits, among others, for the Nigerian Police Force.
That as a fallout of the NSAS protests in October 2020, President Muhammadu Buhari requested the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission to expedite action on the review of the remunerations of the Nigeria Police Force.
As an anchoring body, the National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission has carried out an evaluation of re-nomination and condition of service of the Nigerian Police Force with relevant stakeholders.
Some of the highlights of the approvals include the following. The rent subsidy was reviewed. Shift duty and supervision allowances were reviewed. We introduced a new peculiar allowance. Tax waivers for all junior police personnel as enjoyed by the military was also introduced and approved.
Other approvals for the force include prioritizing payment of insurance, relevant agencies interface to work out realistic annual overhead budget of the force, examination and recommendation of retirement benefits, and regular monitoring of payment of salaries and allowances of the police force through electronic and physical platforms. In Abuja, Joseph Otsen, NTA News.
And that concludes the news desk at 6 on NTA News 24. Thanks for watching. I'm Vivian Izadifi.